My name is Stephanie Russell, and I'm the supervisor for Long-Term Supports and Services Medical Determination Unit. I'm going to be giving a broad overview of both the financial and medical eligibility requirements for the Choices for Independence program. The Bureau of Family Assistance, or BFA, is the department that determines the financial eligibility for individuals who are applying for Medicaid programs. This also includes long-term care waiver programs. For long-term supports and services, waiver services, there are two components that determine eligibility. This includes financial as well as medical. The BFA looks at the provided documentation to determine the potential eligibility date for the applicants. There are basic eligibility requirements that all clients must meet in order to be eligible for Medicaid services. There are also additional requirements that must be met in order for one to be eligible for long-term care waiver services. The New Hampshire Department of Health and Human Services, or DHHS, is committed to providing home and community-based services as an alternative to nursing facility placement. The Choices for Independence program, or CFI, is a Medicaid-funded program that provides a wide range of service choices that enable eligible adults to stay within their homes and communities. Here's a list of some of the examples of services that are available to an individual who's determined eligible for the CFI program. Once determined eligible, the client will either choose their preferred case management agency or be assigned in an automatic rotation in order to assist the client with setting up the services that they require. Once an application is received by the department, an appointment will be scheduled with the client and/or their representative. Verifications will be requested and reviewed to determine financial eligibility. In order to qualify for CFI, the client must meet the financial eligibility requirements, which include meeting income limits, the resource limits, and the medical criteria. The date that the client is found to meet both medical and financial requirements is the date that CFI eligibility can begin. A resource assessment is used to determine the available resources of both an institutionalized individual and the community spouse at the time of institutionalization. The verifications listed here are required only if they pertain to the client. Once the information is received and reviewed, additional documents may need to be provided. If additional documents are required, then additional time will be given to the applicant to get these documents submitted to the department. The verification checklist can be given to an applicant and/or their representative as a preparation tool in advance of their interview and is located on the back of the appointment notice that the department will send out when the appointment is scheduled. There are many ways to apply, such as visiting a local district office, your local service link location, via mail, or often the easiest may be to go online through New Hampshire Easy Gateway to Services, where the applicant can upload the required documents, make changes quickly, and view the current status of their case. For CFI medical eligibility, this is when a person requires 24-hour nursing facility level of care for either two or more activities of daily living or 24-hour nursing facility level of care for their medication administration. Oftentimes, there's confusion between ADLs and IADLs. ADLs are activities of daily living, which include bathing, toileting, dressing, eating, transferring, and/or continence. Needing 24-hour nursing facility level of care with two or more of these are required to be medically eligible for the CFI program. IADLs, or instrumental activities of daily living, are activities related to living independently within the community. Some examples are meal planning and preparation, household chores, or even finances and shopping. Needing assistance with IADLs does not make somebody medically eligible for the CFI program. For medical eligibility for the CFI program, the applicant needs to meet the clinical requirements that were just discussed, have a medical evaluation assessment or MEA, and if needed, medical records to support the clinical needs of the applicant. The MEA, or Medical Eligibility Assessment, is a standardized tool which is used to determine clinical eligibility for long-term care services. Currently, Accentra, formerly known as KeyPro or Keystone Peer Review, are the only company contracted with DHHS to perform MEAs. While they're the contracted company, they are not the only ones that can perform the MEAs. Medical eligibility assessments can also be performed by skilled professional medical personnel who have successfully completed the MEA training that's designated by the department. Along with the MEA, in order to determine medical eligibility, we require a clock drawing, which is typically performed at the time of the assessment, as well as the signed combined consent and authorization for release of protected health information forms. Skilled professional medical personnel are defined as someone who has a 2-year or longer education resulting in a degree or certificate in a medically related position. In this case, years of experience cannot be considered the equivalent of professional training in a field of medical care. Something we do offer is transitional case management, and this is when a person has been in an institution for 30 or more days and would like to return to the community and are currently open Medicaid. They would then be eligible for transitional case management or TCM. TCM provides case management for those individuals who are making that transition out of an institution and back into the community. Once a referral has been completed and sent to DHHS, the department will assign either the preferred agency or the next in an automatic rotation and notify the facility of who the case management agency will be. Another option is community transitions. Community Transitions provides up to $3,000 per transition for those individuals transitioning back into the community to set up basic needs for their household. This could include security deposits, deposits required for utility services, and essential household furnishings. This service cannot be used for monthly rent, monthly food or utility expenses, or any other household item that would be intended for entertainment purposes. For more information on community transitions, you can visit the New Hampshire CarePath website listed here. Whenever there's any type of change to a resident's status, a long-term care change of status form is required. Examples could be an individual entering or leaving a facility, a change in their level of nursing care, or even the death of a resident. Change of status forms are always required when there will be a change with the client within 5 business days of the change, except if the change is discharging from a facility back into the community, then the notification is required 14 days in advance of that client discharging. Something new to the program is Participant Directed Managed Services, or PDMS. This is available to CFI participants and should be individually tailored to the participant, promote health and safety and well-being, and provide support to a participant to self-direct their services and increase their level of independence. PDMS also allows the participant and/or their legal representative to define the provider qualifications, reflect sufficient training, expertise, experience, and/or education for delivery of safe and effective services. Along with PDMS, we have Financial Management Services, or FMS, and this is provided in accordance with the budget prepared by both the participant and their case manager as part of their comprehensive care plan. FMS providers will manage and direct the disbursement of funds, facilitate employment of staff by either the participant or their family, provide orientation and training of staff, and provide fiscal accounting, which includes disbursement for goods and services and ensuring separation of each participant's available funds. It'll also provide employer functions. A few examples of this are hiring workers, verifying citizenship, and also processing payroll. FMS providers also will enroll with New Hampshire Medicaid as FMS providers with the capability to perform the required tasks. When preparing the budget for the participant, it must include the specific PDMS components, the frequency and duration of services, and itemized cost. The FMS provider should prepare a budget worksheet of how the funds will be spent, which will be reviewed monthly by the participant. Any expenses that exceed the limits under the budget will not be allowed and will not be paid. And finally, the FMS providers will provide the services described, maintain the budget, inform the participant of payment procedures, review and submit payments based off of the participant's budget, and provide the participant with a monthly statement of expenditures. So what has changed? The section title has been changed to Initial Clinical Eligibility Determination. It's been loosened for who may conduct medical assessments from a registered nurse to now be a skilled professional medical personnel. The requirement that a client sign the assessment indicating that they agree with the identified needs has been eliminated, as the identified needs should now be included within the comprehensive care plan. It's now specified that an additional request for information notice will be sent 20 days after the initial request if no response has been received. Previously, the second notice could be sent anytime within the 30-day window of that initial request. Skilled professional medical personnel estimate cost of home-based care solely for the purpose of tracking and reporting costs, and costs are no longer a part of eligibility determinations. And finally, the department will include the credentials of individuals making eligibility determinations in the notices of denial. For more information about the Choices for Independence program, please visit our website at dhhs.nh.gov.